Have you ever wondered what makes a man think about you long after you've left the room? Is it your beauty, charm, or the way you dress? While those things might catch his eye, they won't capture his mind or leave a lasting imprint on his heart. The true secret lies in something much deeper: how you speak to him. Let's face it, many women mistakenly believe they need to impress a man by being overly accommodating or constantly available. Others fall into the trap of oversharing too quickly, thinking vulnerability will create instant intimacy. These common misconceptions often lead to disappointment. But what if there's a better way? A way to captivate his thoughts while staying true to yourself. In this video, we'll uncover the transformative techniques high-value women use to make a man deeply miss and remember them. These methods aren't manipulative tricks or superficial tactics. They are rooted in authenticity, emotional intelligence, and what I call dark stoic psychology. These principles will reshape how you interact with men, creating an emotional pull so strong that he'll naturally crave more of your presence. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll have a clear roadmap, not only to make him miss you but to ensure he remembers you, your energy, and the way you made him feel. Let's dive into one of the most powerful secrets that has stood the test of time: mystery. The mystery factor. Keep him intrigued. Picture this. You meet someone who seems perfect on paper. He's charming, attentive, and has plenty of stories to share. But after just one or two conversations, you feel like you already know everything about him. There's no intrigue, no unanswered questions, and no reason to wonder about his layers. The excitement fades, and you move on. Now flip the script. Imagine meeting someone who shares just enough to captivate you, but leaves a hint of mystery, sparking your curiosity about what lies beneath the surface. That's the power of mystery. High-value women understand that being slightly elusive isn't about playing games. It's about creating a depth and excitement that keeps a man coming back for more. How does this work in practice? It begins with how you communicate. When he asks about your life, resist the urge to reveal everything at once. Instead, offer a glimpse, a carefully chosen detail that piques his curiosity. For example, if he asks, "What do you do for work?" don't default to a typical rundown of your daily tasks. Instead, say something like, "It's a little unconventional, but I absolutely love it. What about you?" This response achieves two things. It shifts the focus back to him, while leaving a question mark in his mind about your life. That question mark is golden. It's what keeps his thoughts returning to you. Now think about it. Humans are naturally drawn to things they don't fully understand. When something is left unresolved, the brain craves closure. By sharing just enough to intrigue but not enough to satisfy, you become unforgettable. But mystery isn't just about words. It's about presence. When you're with him, how do you carry yourself? High-value women know that subtle gestures speak volumes. A warm yet fleeting smile, steady eye contact, or pausing thoughtfully before answering a question. These add layers to your persona, showing him there's more to discover. It's not about withholding who you are. It's about revealing yourself in a way that feels intentional and exciting. In a world dominated by social media, where oversharing has become the norm, high-value women understand the power of selective sharing. By keeping certain aspects of your life private, you signal that not everything about you is readily available. This scarcity creates value, making the moments when you do open up feel even more special. A key part of mastering mystery is learning the art of silence. While silence can be uncomfortable, it's one of the most powerful tools in communication. It's not just about what you say but also when you say it. If you're too quick to respond to texts, too eager to meet up, or too available, you eliminate the tension that makes him miss you. By pacing your interactions and letting him wonder when he'll hear from you next, you create a dynamic that keeps the connection alive. How can you practice this today? Start by asking yourself, am I sharing too much too soon? Am I giving enough space for silence so he can process and appreciate the enigma that is me? Are there parts of my life I can intentionally keep private to spark curiosity? When you adopt these strategies, you'll not only notice a shift in how men respond to you but also in how you perceive yourself. Ready to go deeper? Let's explore the emotional impact that makes every interaction unforgettable. Emotional impact. Make every conversation memorable. What do you think lingers in a man's mind long after a conversation ends? Is it the words you said or the emotions you stirred? If you've ever replayed a conversation in your head because it made you laugh, touched your heart, or sparked your imagination, then you already understand the power of emotional impact. High-value women excel at creating moments that a man wants to relive again and again. But how can you do this? It begins with the questions you ask. A high-value woman doesn't waste time with cliches like, "How was your day?" Instead, she dives into meaningful topics. She might ask, "What's the most exciting thing you've done recently?" Or, "If you could wake up anywhere in the world tomorrow, where would it be? And why?" These questions ignite his imagination and evoke feelings beyond the ordinary. They invite him to open up and share parts of himself that he doesn't usually reveal, creating a unique connection. When sharing your own stories, go beyond simple facts, immerse him in the experience. Instead of saying, "I went hiking last weekend," create a vivid narrative. "Last weekend, I hiked this trail that felt like it led straight into the clouds. By the time I reached the top, the view took my breath away. It was one of those rare moments where you feel completely alive." This kind of storytelling doesn't just inform, it evokes emotion. Your words should transport him to that moment, letting him feel the excitement or tranquility you experienced. When he shares something personal, listen intently and respond in ways that deepen the connection. For example, if he talks about a childhood memory, you might say, "That's such a vivid memory. I can almost picture it. How did that experience shape who you are today?" This type of response not only shows that you're engaged, but also encourages him to explore his feelings further, making him feel understood and valued. Another essential yet often overlooked element of emotional impact is playfulness. Attraction thrives in moments of lightness and fun. Teasing him, when done naturally, creates memorable highs in the conversation. For instance, if he says something you can challenge playfully, respond with a smile. "You really think pineapple belongs on pizza? I might have to rethink everything I know about you." This kind of banter keeps the interaction lively and engaging. As you build these emotional moments, remember the power of strategic pauses. Sometimes, the most impactful thing you can do is let a statement or question linger. For example, after asking, "What's one thing you've always wanted to do but haven't yet?" let the silence draw him in. This pause gives him time to reflect and creates a moment of intimacy that words alone can't achieve. The goal of every conversation isn't to impress him. It's to forge a genuine connection. If you're finding value in these insights, don't forget to like this video to help others discover it too. Your engagement supports our growing community of high-value women, all striving to uplift and inspire each other. Stay with me because, in the next section, we'll explore the power of first impressions and how they set the tone for unforgettable connections. The importance of first impressions, setting the stage. Creating an atmosphere of intrigue and warmth starts the moment you meet someone. A strong first impression doesn't just capture attention, it lays the foundation for a connection that lingers long after the initial encounter. So, what makes a first impression truly memorable? It all begins with confidence. Confidence is magnetic. It can draw someone in before you even say a word. A high-value woman enters a room with her head held high, her shoulders back, and an air of calm assurance. Confidence isn't about being loud or overly bold. It's about being at peace with yourself. By mastering your emotions and staying centered, you radiate a quiet, unshakable self-assurance that's incredibly attractive. Once your presence exudes confidence, the next step is engaging him emotionally from the start. High-value women know it's not about impressing him with clever one-liners or extravagant stories. It's about making him feel something. Body language plays a key role here. When you meet him, maintain eye contact, not too much to feel intense, but just enough to show you're fully present and engaged. A genuine smile paired with a slight tilt of your head when he speaks conveys warmth and attentiveness, making him feel seen and valued. And don't underestimate the power of touch. Something as simple as a firm handshake or a light touch on the arm during conversation can create a sense of connection that words alone cannot achieve. These small gestures subtly communicate openness and interest, setting you apart from others. First impressions also tie back to the power of mystery. Your goal is to leave a lasting imprint, something he can't quite put into words but can't stop thinking about. One way to do this is to focus on how he feels during the interaction. People are naturally drawn to those who make them feel good about themselves. By genuinely listening, reflecting his energy, and asking thoughtful questions, you create a positive emotional experience that he'll associate with you. As the conversation winds down, leave him wanting more. For example, you might say, "I've really enjoyed talking with you. I'd love to continue this another time." This not only signals that you value your time, but also builds anticipation for your next interaction. The push-pull dynamic, the art of absence. Have you ever noticed how much we crave what we can't have? It's a universal truth. Scarcity creates value. In the world of attraction, this principle forms the foundation of what makes someone truly unforgettable. High-value women instinctively understand this. They know their presence is powerful, but their absence can be just as impactful, if not more so. Here's the paradox of human connection. Being together is wonderful, but it's the moments apart that keep things exciting and alive. Striking the right balance between closeness and distance is where the magic happens. It starts with how you show up when you're together. When you're present, be fully present. Give him your attention. Engage deeply, and let your warmth shine through. These moments create an emotional high, something he will carry with him long after you part ways. This is the push, the energy and connection you bring when you're together. But the pull is just as important. By stepping back, you create scarcity, which makes your presence feel even more valuable. This principle aligns with Stoicism, which emphasizes self-control and comfort with solitude. High-value women are unafraid to retreat into their own worlds because they know their worth isn't tied to constant validation. Their independence and self-assuredness become inherently attractive. Imagine this scenario. You've just had an amazing conversation filled with laughter, meaningful exchanges, and undeniable chemistry. The next day, instead of sending him a text right away, pause. Resist the urge to immediately follow up. Take a few hours or even wait until the next day to respond. This small act signals that you have a full, rich life of your own, and you're not waiting around for his attention. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about living authentically. A common concern arises here. What if he loses interest during the pull phase? It's a valid question. But here's the truth. If his interest fades simply because you're not constantly available, he was never truly invested in the first place. A man who values you will appreciate the balance you bring to the relationship and respect your independence. The push-pull dynamic works like planting a seed in his mind. The moments you spend together create the spark, and the space you give him afterward allows that spark to grow. Another key element of this dynamic is knowing when to re-engage. Timing is everything. Step back for too long, and the connection might fade. But if you reappear at just the right moment, you can reignite the spark with even greater intensity. For example, after a few days of silence, send him a thoughtful message referencing something specific from your last conversation. This shows that you were listening and that your connection is meaningful. This approach isn't just for new relationships. It's just as effective in long-term ones. Maintaining a balance of presence and absence keeps things fresh and exciting. When you spend time apart, you give each other space to grow individually while creating opportunities to miss one another. So, before you reach out to him, ask yourself, am I giving him the space to miss me? Am I staying true to my own interests and priorities while building this connection? Absence isn't about disappearing or creating doubt. It's about giving room for reflection, desire, and appreciation. During your time apart, focus on living a fulfilling life. Pursue your passions. Spend time with friends, and invest in yourself. When he sees that you're fully engaged in your life, it reinforces the idea that your time and attention are valuable. When you do reconnect, make it intentional. Avoid generic messages like, "Hey, what's up?" Instead, send something thoughtful that builds on your past conversations. For example, "I just remembered something you said the other day. It made me smile. I loved your perspective on it." Or, "I saw something today that reminded me of what you mentioned. It made me laugh. Do you want to hear about it?" These messages not only remind him of your presence, but also show that you've been paying attention, making your interactions feel personal and meaningful. Light, playful communication also works wonders here. You might say, "So, I tried your favorite hobby yesterday, and let's just say it didn't go as planned. I'm sure you would have been much better at it." Keeping the tone fun and engaging makes the conversation memorable and enjoyable. Lastly, remember the importance of emotional balance. When you re-engage, do so with warmth and authenticity, but avoid coming across as overly eager. This ties back to the principles of Stoicism. Restraint and self-assuredness amplify your presence. By re-engaging from a place of confidence, you naturally draw him closer without any need for force. The power of absence, understanding the long game. Absence is often misunderstood in relationships. Many people worry that stepping back might make someone forget about them or allow the connection to fade. High-value women, however, understand the true power of absence. It isn't about disappearing or creating doubt. It's about giving space for reflection, desire, and appreciation. Absence leverages a fundamental psychological principle. Scarcity creates value. When something or someone is readily available all the time, it's easy to take them for granted. But when that presence is less frequent, it becomes more special and deeply valued. The key to using absence effectively lies in the quality of your time apart. It's not about intentionally testing him or playing games. Instead, it's about focusing on your own life and making your moments of engagement intentional and meaningful. For example, after a great interaction, don't feel the need to follow up immediately. Allow the moment to breathe. This gives him time to reflect on the emotions he experienced while with you. In these moments of stillness, appreciation naturally grows. During your periods of absence, prioritize living a full and vibrant life. Invest in your hobbies, pursue your passions, and spend quality time with friends and family. When he sees that you're actively engaged in your own life, it not only makes you more attractive, but also reinforces the idea that your time and attention are precious. This balance of independence and connection builds mutual respect and keeps the relationship dynamic and exciting. When it's time to reconnect, do so with intention. Instead of sending a generic message like, "Hey, how's it going?" Craft something meaningful that demonstrates thoughtfulness and care. For instance, "I just remembered something you mentioned last week. It's been on my mind. I loved your perspective on it." Or, "I saw something today that reminded me of what you shared. It made me smile. How's everything going with that?" These types of messages remind him of your presence in a way that feels authentic and deliberate. While giving space is powerful, it's equally important to monitor how he responds to your absence. Ask yourself, does he miss me? Does he show genuine interest in reconnecting? Do I feel valued and appreciated when we interact again? These reflections help you determine if the relationship aligns with your needs and expectations. Absence should enhance your connection, not make you feel undervalued. Another way to maintain this balance is by ensuring that when you do engage, you bring something positive and meaningful to the table. Reconnection isn't just about checking in. It's about creating a new moment of connection. For instance, after a few days apart, you might share a lighthearted story. "I tried a hobby or activity he enjoys, and let's just say it didn't go as planned. I could definitely use some pointers from you." Humor and playfulness keep the interaction lively, while showing that you value his unique interests and insights. As you navigate the push-pull dynamic of presence and absence, remember that the goal is to create a balanced and fulfilling connection. By stepping back occasionally, you allow the relationship to grow naturally. Absence gives him the opportunity to miss you and reflect on what makes your presence special. At the same time, it gives you space to ensure that the relationship is meeting your own standards and desires. Being a high-value woman means knowing your worth and demonstrating it through your actions. Absence isn't just about making someone miss you. It's about cultivating a deeper appreciation for your presence while maintaining your independence. By living a life full of purpose and intention, you inspire others to value and respect the time you share with them. Conclusion: building meaningful connections. As we wrap up, it's essential to recognize that being a high-value woman isn't about trying to control someone else's feelings. It's about showing up authentically, knowing your worth, and creating connections rooted in mutual respect. The tools we've discussed: mystery, emotional impact, first impressions, the push-pull dynamic, thoughtful re-engagement, and the power of absence, all work together to make your presence unforgettable. When you embrace these strategies, you're not just enhancing your relationships, you're elevating how you see yourself. By valuing your own time, energy, and presence, you set a higher standard for the connections you form. This approach isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every step you take toward becoming the best version of yourself makes you more magnetic, confident, and fulfilled. So, where will you begin? Will you experiment with adding a touch of mystery to your interactions? Or perhaps you'll focus on building emotional connections that linger long after the conversation ends. Whatever path you choose, remember that the journey is just as important as the destination. By staying true to yourself and your values, you'll create relationships that are meaningful, lasting, and deeply rewarding.